أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. نون والقلم وما يسطرون. ما أنت بنعمة ربك بمجنون. وإن لك لأجرا غير ممنون. وإنك لعلى خلق عظيم. فستبصر ويبصرون بأيكم المفتون. إن ربك هو أعلم بمن ضل عن سبيل وهو أعلم بالمهتدين. فلا تطع المكذبين ودوا لو تدهن فيدهنون. ولا تطع كل هلاف مهين هماز مشاء بنميم مناع للخير معتد عظيم. عتل بعد ذلك زنيم أن كان ذا مال وبنين. إذا تتلى عليه آياتنا قال أساطير الأولين. سنسمه على الخرطوم. إنا بلوناهم كما بلونا أصحاب الجنة إذا أقسموا لا يصرمنها مصبحين فلا يستطيعون خاشعة أبصارهم ترهقهم ذلة وقد كانوا يدعون إلى السجود وهم سالمون. فطاف عليها طائف من ربك وهم ناعمون فأصبحت كالسريم. فتنادوا مصبحين أن اغدوا على حوثكم إن كنتم صارمين. فانطلقوا وهم يتخافتون ألا يدخلنها اليوم عليكم مسكين وغدوا على حرد قادرين. فلما رأوه قالوا إنا لضالون بل نحن محرومون. قال أوسطهم ألم نقل لكم لولا تسبحون. قالوا سبحان ربنا إنا كنا ظالمين. فأكمل بعضهم على بعض يتلومون. قالوا يا ويلنا إنا كنا طاغين. عسى ربنا أن يبدلنا خيرا منها إنا إلى ربنا راغبون. كذلك العذاب ولعذاب الآخرة أكبر لو كانوا يعلمون. صدق الله العظيم. آمين. إن شاء الله نعم بكل مساءنات. الله الله أغثنا يا رسول الله. يا عظيم الجاه عليك صلوات الله. عبدا بالباب يرتجع لاسم العتاب. جد بالجواب مرحبا قد قبلنا. أنت المعبود بالجاه عليك صلوات الله. عبدا بالباب يرتجع الاسم العتاب، جد بالجواب مرحبا قد قبلنا. أنت المعروف بالجود مخر الضيوف، إني ملحوف أغثني بحق الله. أنت الحبيب الأعظم سر المجيب، حاشا يقين من لاذ برسول الله. أنت الحبيب الأعظم سر المجيب، حاشا يقين من لاذ برسول الله. الله الله أغثنا يا رسول الله، يا عظيم الجاه عليك صلوات الله. جزاك الله.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. As-salatu was-salamu ala Rasulillahi wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in, amma ba'd. In Islam, Allah has mentioned in the Quran that in the sight of Allah there's the number of months is 12. And out of them 12 months, 4 are sacred months. And Allah has given them honor and sacredness. But why has Allah mentioned this? As in some cultures there's 16 months, in some cultures there's 36 months. But in Islam, obviously, because naturally the sun and the moon is Allah's creation, and the months are also Allah's creation, so everything comes in perfect harmony. And this is the deen of Allah, and the Quran is the book of Allah, so everything matches in perfect harmony. Now out of them 4 months, 3 of them come in a row: Dhul Qaeda, Dhul Hijjah and Muharram. But after, on the 7th month is the next one, which is Rajab, which is the month that we're in right now. And Allah has kept it separate from the other 3 on purpose, because the other 3 they come in a row, and the 7th one, which is Rajab, the 4th of the sacred months, is on its own. And there's a reason for this, why Allah has kept it separate, and why it's got such a special status, and why Allah has placed it here separate to the others. And there's also the status of it's also mentioned in Hadith, where Rasulullah ﷺ was mentioned, "Oh Allah, grant us barakah in Rajab and allow us to benefit from it, as it's a very sacred month." It's so sacred that even before Islam, when there used to be the mushrikeen in Makkah, even they, when it used to come to Rajab, even they used to stop fighting between themselves, and they used to have a truce in Rajab where they would not shed any blood between themselves. Such is the sacredness of Rajab that even the disbelievers, they used to honor it. Now, if disbelievers and mushrikeen are honoring such a month, what benefit as Muslims can we achieve from it? One of the lessons the Mashaykh mentioned is that just how the mushrikeen, when they used to wage war between themselves in the month of Rajab, they used to stop their wars. In the same way, if we carry any grudges, any animosities between ourselves and other people, we should also stop that in this month. And the second lesson that we get from this as well is that it's because of the sacredness of this month and because it's so special that we should also mend our own ties with our family, with our friends, with our loved ones, with work colleagues, with anybody that we've got grudges with, anybody that in the past maybe you might have been having that grudge, it might have happened 10 years ago, but you can't let it go. Because of the virtue of this month, we should try to let that go as well. That's one of the most important lessons in Rajab. And not just that, Rajab, it has such talaq with a lot of personalities as well. Such personalities that have gone past, or they've even born in this month, or they passed away in this month. Some of them, for example, Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anhu, Sayyidina Jafar Sadiq radiallahu anhu. Also, Sayyidina Amir Muawiyah passed away in this month. So it has a lot of barakah in it because a lot of Sahabas have talaq with this month. Now, it's mentioned, as we mentioned before, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned that, oh Allah, give us barakah and enable us to benefit from Rajab. But what is barakah? We have to first of all understand what is barakah. Barakah is to benefit from something immensely. So let's say, for example, if you have something and it gives you immense benefit, people say there's barakah in there. So let's say, for example, some person might have £5,000 salary, but at the end of the month, he might not have no savings. Whilst another person, he might have a £2,000 salary, but at the end of the month, he might have £700-800 savings. So in that person, in them two people, there's more barakah in the one that's got less, because at the end of the day, he's got more at the end after all his needs have been fulfilled. That's what barakah means, is that it gives you more benefit. And that's the benefit of Rajab, that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has mentioned that, oh Allah, give us barakah in there. And if you don't receive that barakah from Rajab, then it's a loss for you. And in another narration, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has mentioned that Rajab is the month of Allah Azza wa Jal, and Sha'ban is their blessed month of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and Ramadan is the month of the Ummah. So how do we prepare and how do we benefit from Rajab? If we know now that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam themselves is saying that we should benefit immensely from such a month, how do we benefit? And how does this have an association with 2 months that are coming after this, Sha'ban and Ramadan? Because Rajab is a month to prepare the land of your heart. Then in Sha'ban comes where you sow the seeds and you grow the trees of goodness. And then in Ramadan you attain the benefits of everything you've done, all the ibadat you've done, and then you pluck the fruits, all the seeds now grown into trees, the trees now are giving fruits, and then you pluck the fruits and you enjoy them fruits and you benefit from them fruits. So we have to understand, this is Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that when they mention this, they're giving nasiyah to the Sahaba radiallahu anhu, and they're mentioning to them, and they are teaching them the mindset that a person should have in Rajab, and how they should use this to prepare for the months coming. As Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has mentioned that Allah sent blessings upon us in the month of Rajab and Sha'ban. But what is the meaning of barakah? As we mentioned previously, is to benefit greatly from something. So when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is saying, oh Allah, give us barakah in Rajab, we shouldn't take it lightly, because they are saying it, they are making dua to Allah Azza wa Jal. So we should understand that. It's very important that we understand what they're saying in this. And they're saying that Allah allow us to benefit fully from Rajab, allow us to benefit fully from Sha'ban. So when Ramadan comes, we can actually taste the fruits of our labor. So this is also a message here, that when a person is doing dua, he should also make sure that he sends that with whatever dua he's doing, he should also not just leave it there. He should actually work towards it. He should work hard and fulfill that dua. So let's say, for example, if a person is asking, oh Allah, give me Jannah, and then he's doing the amal of Jahannam, he's not going to, the dua's not going to get far for him. Or for example, if a person is saying, oh Allah, send me on the right path, and he's going on the wrong path himself, it's not going to benefit him. So in the same way, whatever dua we should do, we should understand that is guidance coming, and we should take that guidance. In the same way, the guidance that's coming from Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is to benefit from this month. So we've understood the benefits and the importance of Rajab, but how do we benefit from Rajab? So Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam gave the mindset to the Sahaba in Rajab that they would say, oh Allah, give us barakah in Rajab and Sha'ban and allow us to reach Ramadan. And Rajab, as we mentioned, is the month of irrigation. As you know, when there's farmland, what do? You plant the seeds. Then what do? You water the seeds. And then months later, what happens? Trees appear and fruits appear from them, and then you pluck the fruits. And this is an example of a farmer, for example. If he wants wheat in summer, he don't say, right, okay, I want wheat now, so I'll throw all the seeds in and the wheat will come. He has to plan ahead, 6 months, a year ahead. He might be sowing the seeds in the land in December. He might be waiting. It's a 6 months process for it to appear, all the wheat, so that he can harvest it. And then what he can do is he can sell it, or he can use it to feed his family, or he can use them seeds again for the following year. So this is an example of what are we harvesting. We're prepared. What are we harvesting in Rajab? We're preparing for what? For Ramadan. We're preparing for the fast. We're preparing for the Taraweeh. We're preparing for the closeness of Allah. So a person has to plant his seeds now. Otherwise, what's going to happen? He has to plant his seeds now, then he has to water the seeds next month in Sha'ban, then he has to, only then your fruits are going to appear in Ramadan. Otherwise, what's going to happen is, as it happens every year where Shaitan tricks us, is we come to Ramadan, everybody else is enjoying it, they're in the flow of their ibadah, they're doing many hours of worship, and we think, oh, we can do it now, but it doesn't matter, it's not going to work then. It's like, for example, what we do is we see someone who's actually watered the seeds, who now them seeds have turned into trees, and them trees are now, the fruits coming off them, and they're enjoying them fruits, and they're seeing the apple, they're seeing people taste the apple in Ramadan. But what happens with us? We say, right, okay, I want the apple now. So what they do is they throw the seeds, but they don't realize there's summer now. The seeds ain't going to grow. In the same way, if we want the seeds to grow in 2 months from now, we have to start preparing now. So, and this is same in Dunya as well. We could use the same example in Dunya. This Dunya is like land, fertile land, where what do? We plant the seeds of Akhirah here. So let's say, for example, when a person does good deeds here, they go with him. So in this fertile land, only this is fertile land. There is no other fertile land where you're going to plant them seeds and where them seeds are going to grow. For example, a person after passing, when a person will be in Jannah, he won't be doing good. There won't be no good deeds then. Yes, whatever station you've reached in Dunya, you'll achieve that, but there won't be no amal salihah that you'll be praying and your deeds will be going up, or person will be doing bad deeds. All that's finished. Why? Because that's not the fertile land for ibadah. The fertile land for ibadah is now. The fertile land for sowing your seeds is now. And in the same way how you should prepare for Rajab, and then you eat your fruits in Ramadan and Eid, and on Eid, now is the time in Dunya where a person should start to sow its seeds. So start to, if he's not praying, he should start praying. If he's committing certain sins, he should stop committing them sins. If he's treating people in a bad way, he should stop treating people in a bad way. If he's not done his tawbah yet, he should start doing his tawbah, because now is the time where a person can make effort. It's like now is winter. This dunya is like winter, and the farmer knows now is the time to plant the seeds, and he knows he has more yaqeen in his seeds than we have in Allah and the Day of Judgment. He knows if he plants his seeds now, in 6 months' time, he's going to get his wheat. Whilst we think, oh, if we do good deeds, are they going to get accepted? Are they not going to get accepted? Are they going to go with us on the Akhirat? So the farmer has more yaqeen in his wheat than we have in our good deeds. So now, this is where a person should work hard in this dunya, especially in Rajab, to start to rectify his relationship with Allah Azza wa Jal. And a person should also try to use this environment, use this fertile land to try to seek the pleasure of Allah Azza wa Jal. And Allah has mentioned also, there's also a certain aspects why this is such a special month in Islam. And one of the reasons is because of the miraj of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam happened in this month as well. Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam went to the heavens in this month, and Salah came down in this month. So we have to understand the importance of this month. And there's an actual story that occurred in the time of the Sahaba that are related to this month and related to the story of Miraj, where one day Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was happy. They were so happy, and they said to our blessed mother Aisha radhiyallahu anha, "Oh Aisha, if you ask me anything, then I will answer it." So they didn't know what to ask, because they thought, I've already have a Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, what more could I ask for? So then what happened? They went to their blessed father, Sayyidina Abu Bakr radhiyallahu anhu, and said, "Oh, my blessed father, Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam has said this." And they said, "Ask, or Aisha, ask Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam," because there were many secrets that were revealed on the Miraj. We feel that it was one day's night journey. For us it felt like one day. For them, Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, it might have been 100 years, we don't know. And then what did they do? They went there, and so one of the secrets, some of the secrets that were revealed between Allah Azza wa Jal and Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam at the time of Miraj, they wanted to know, wanted a blessed nasiyah from them. So then our blessed mother went back to Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and asked that. And to the nearest meaning, Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam mentioned, and they took permission, obviously say that Aisha radhiyallahu anha took permission to ask, and they granted the permission. And by the permission of Allah, they revealed, because it was a secret, they had to take permission. By the permission of Allah, they revealed the secret. And the secret was that Allah mentioned on that day, on Miraj, that if any of your ummah, to Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, that if any of your ummah commit that they, for the sake and pleasure of Allah, they please the heart of a believer. Maybe the believer is struggling financially, you wipe his debt off. Maybe the believer is struggling in any other way, you help him. Maybe he has a tire punctured, or maybe his car's not started, and you give him a lift, or maybe you help him in a certain way, or maybe he's been oppressed and you help him. He said, if somebody pleases the heart of a believer, or removes any difficulty, or fulfills the need, and makes the heart unexpectedly. So let's say if a person didn't expect help from you, let's say if they're stuck somewhere and they needed a lift from you, but they rang you, they didn't, or you drove past and it was raining and you picked them up and you dropped them off somewhere. He said, unexpectedly, I will not look towards his bad deeds, and I will enter him into paradise without judgment. Just one good deed, just one thing that if you pleased the heart of a Muslim. And then Sayyidah Aisha radiallahu anha went back to Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu and told him what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned. But instead of being happy, Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu started to cry. And they realized what the effect was. They realized the opposite. And they realized that the opposite is true as well. So if you hurt a Muslim, intentionally if you hurt a Muslim, if you oppress a Muslim, let's say you don't give him his rights. Let's say, for example, a Muslim works for you and you don't pay him on time or don't pay him properly. Or let's say, for example, a person is selling drugs to other Muslims or to other people and he's hurting their families. Or let's say a person who's doing zulm on someone. Then the opposite is true. Allah will not look at his good deeds, but because of that hurt that he caused someone's heart, Allah will throw him into hell without sabqab, without judgment. So from this we realize what is the most beloved deed to Allah, that such a deed that if you do it once, Allah will give you Jannah forever, without judgment, without even looking at your bad deeds. And that is to please the heart of a Muslim. And happiness only comes from one door, and that's the pleasure of Allah, and to make the creation of Allah happy. So because of the closeness of Rajab and the month of Rajab and Allah, because this is the month of Allah, a person, for the sake of Allah, what a person should try to do in this month is try to mend ties with people, try to help people for the sake and pleasure of Allah. Try to be that person that you unexpectedly help someone. So let's say if somebody needs help or if somebody needs anything, money, but they've not asked you, or they don't think that they could find that help from you, and you help them and you please them, and that difficulty goes away, especially in this month. Imagine what you can achieve. Now Rajab's here, and we've been told by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in hadith to have benefit from it and use the barakah of Rajab. How do we prepare for it and how do we benefit from it? In this month there's certain a'mal, and every month has certain a'mals that a person does. For example, Zul Hijjah has its own a'mals that are related to Hajj. Ramadan has Taraweeh. What is the amal of this month of Rajab? So the amal and the main thing that a person should be doing in this month is, the amal is to prepare for Ramadan in this month. If a person is struggling in their journey, if a person is struggling, if he's committing sins, if he's falling down, if he's trying to get back up but he keeps falling, or if he has fallen and he's struggling to get back up, this is the perfect opportunity to correct his intention and his purpose. And this is also one way where shaitan tricks people that are on the path, or as many of us are on the path. Shaitan tricks the people through this way, on the path of Allah. He whispers, oh, you are failing, like we mentioned, that if you are failing in this month, or you are failing, or you're struggling, or people that came after you, 5 years after you, they've gone further than you on the course, or they've gone further than you on the journey. But we shouldn't be disheartened. Why? Because whilst we're on the path of Allah, this is a common thing that happens. People become disillusioned, they become disheartened. Why? Because they aim for results. And when they aim for results, when they're not achieving these results, what happens is they become disheartened. Because let's say, for example, they might be on a certain sheet for a couple of months, a couple of years even, or they might be struggling in a certain area, and they might be struggling but they don't realize that maybe you just might be fighting with one sheet, but what happens is, or one sin, but 10 other sins are unexpectedly going away from you. You're already being purified. Maybe a person's on the first stage, you might be on the fourth stage. Maybe someone's on the third stage, you might be on the first stage. So what happens is we're results driven, because we see a lot of people, alhamdulillah, they come and they transverse the journey quite fast. But the Mashayikh mentioned that, remember, whilst you are looking for results, whilst Allah does not demand results from you. This is the most important aspect that we have to understand, that Allah does not demand results from us. All He demands is what? Two things: effort, mujahidah, sincerity, ikhlas. Two things. That's all He asks for. That's all He wants from you. And all His demand is the effort with sincerity. And this is an example of this is in the life of Anbiya. Look at Sayyidina Nuh alayhi salam. They said, it's related that they were one of the oldest human beings to ever live. So oldest meaning they had the longest life, approximately 980 or 1,000 years they lived for. Such a long life. And out of that, they spent 950 years doing what? Dawah. They spent 950 years doing dawah. And at the end of it, it was only a handful of people that were saved on the ark when the flood came. So what does that say? It's not about success. That on the Day of Judgment there will be many Anbiya that come with one person, two people. But there's some that will come with billions and millions, like Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Sayyidina Isa alayhi salam. So in the same way, how we have to see that it's not, don't look at the results, we should look at the effort that we put in. We should look at how much effort are you putting in. Let's say, for example, if a person is flying through the course, he's flying through the path, but he's giving 50% effort, he's not really achieving anything, because it's all about giving 100% effort. But there could be one person who's giving 100% effort, but what he's doing is he's failing every single day. And this was a story in the times of Rasulullah at the time of Sahaba, when there was once when they went for jihad, and what happened was they mentioned, whilst they were on the jihad expedition, they mentioned that the haqiqat, the reality is there's some people that we left behind in Medina Sharif who are with us today. And there is a reality that there's some people here who are here on jihad, but really we left them in Medina Sharif. Why? Because they're thinking, oh, look at them people, they got it easy in Medina Sharif, we're going to war. Imagine how we're going to go back to our families. There were some people that went through that as well at that time. So it's not about whether you've achieved something or not. It's about how much effort you put in and how sincere you are. Shaitan, look at Shaitan. We hear people do ascensions and they spiritually travel. Look at Iblis. He was physically in Jannah. Physically in Jannah he was. But where is he now? He's stuck in Dunya. So in the same way, it's not about how much, that's one thing, effort. He did such mujahidah that he physically reached heaven and he lived there physically. But he didn't have the other wing to what he was doing. It's like a bird. If a person one traveling to Allah, it's like a bird where it has two wings. One is mujahidah, is effort, and the other one is what? Sincerity. You can't, a one-winged bird can't fly. So you can't, it's impossible. You can only do it if you have both things. In the same thing, when we do get disheartened, is the Mashayikh mentioned that in the Quran, Allah has mentioned that whoever abandons his home and starts the migration towards Allah, let aside achieving the results, Allah has mentioned that even death comes, it cannot stop him from being successful. So Allah has already given you the answer. That if you step 1 foot towards Allah and you're sincere and you do mujahidah and you continue and you continue and you continue, not even death can stop you from being successful. If death can't stop you from being successful, what can? And that's why we have to change our target as well, because our target's wrong. The results target is wrong, because our target should be the pleasure of Allah through sincerity and mujahidah. And if the result comes or it doesn't, that's not in our control. It's the same way. All we can say is all we can do is do the effort. And once that we've done the effort and sincerity, the closeness and pleasure of Allah will come through His fadl. Is, for example, if a person on the Day of Judgment, he can't enter heaven through his effort or his results. A person can have the highest status. He can have whatever status he wants. Without the fadl of Allah, he can't enter heaven. So in the same way, if we focus on results, then you can't even enter heaven with your results. Yes, you might reach the highest ranks, but you won't be able to enter heaven only with this fazl. So what does that show? The results not in your control. Results in control of Allah Azza wa Jal. And He can give it to us even if we reach, if we're on the way, if we're falling, if we're trying. It's up to Him who He gives to. We've all heard of the story of the person who killed 99 people from Bani Israel. He killed 99 people, then he went to a monk and he said, "Will Allah forgive me?" He said no, so he killed him as well. So now he's on 100. And then he went to someone else, and that person who he went to, he said, "Will Allah forgive me?" He said, "Yes." Turn around, go towards a different place and different town and do your tawbah. On the way, he passed away. I don't think he did a zikr or ticked his sheets or didn't got any results, but he was successful though. Why? Because like Allah has mentioned, even death comes, it can't stop you from being successful. And there's an example of this in the life of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam in the month of Rajab. It was the month of Rajab when Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam went to Taif. They were spent approximately a month there. They were hungry, thirsty, and we all know what happened at the Taif. We're fully aware of the story, and we know how the people at Taif rejected Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam as well. But it's also Miraj that took place in Rajab, approximately 9 years later. So what does that show? That it was the sadaqah of what happened in Taif, one of the reasons why Miraj occurred. That you don't see right now that you're struggling, see long term. And the Mashaykh mentioned that there's no reason to be disheartened and illusioned if Allah doesn't demand the results. All you have to do is be sincere and try your best. It's like, let's say for example, you got 2 children and you got 2 fathers, yeah? One father says, "I don't care, if you don't get an A star in your exams, don't come home," yeah? And we can all relate to that. And then you got the other father who says, "Just try your best and make effort, and whatever results you get, I'm happy with." It's a lot easier to work hard and have the second father. In the same way, Allah is not asking you to be fully purified where you cannot commit sin. And that's not what Allah demands of you. Allah demands of you that you work hard and be sincere. And whether you achieve, whether you don't achieve, success is in His hands. And even like Allah has mentioned, that even if death comes, then the person is successful. So through this, there's no failure on the path to Allah. As long as a person is striving, as long as he's working hard, as long as he's doing his mujahidah, as long as he's trying, that's the main thing, trying, and he's sincere. Because you have to have both wings to reach Allah. There can be one person who's sincere, but he can't even get up he doesn't even pray salah, but he loves Allah, he's not going to achieve his purpose. And neither is the person who tries all day long to do his ibadah and to do his worship and to be a good person, but he's got ulterior motives. Then he's going to fall like Shaitan did. So a person needs to have the balance of both. And as we in this month, it is important how we can benefit from it. And there's guidance that's been given by Sayyidina Abdul Aziz al-Dabbagh rahimahullah on this specific month and how to get closer to Allah, because if this is the month of Allah, we should try our best to reach Allah in this month. Try more and more effort than other months, even more than Ramadan. Try it as much as you can because of the blessings and because of the closeness that you can achieve in this month. The guidance is that they alayhi rahmah mentioned a seeker should use this month of Rajab to re-establish their relationship with Allah if it's been broken or contaminated. So let's say, for example, if a person is on the path, if a person is trying, but what's happened is maybe they're struggling with work, maybe they're doing overtime, or maybe they've been distracted, maybe they become heedless, or maybe they've completely stopped their journey altogether. They're struggling to pray and stuff. But we have to understand what is a seeker in the first place. A seeker is a person who wants Allah. So Sayyidina Abdul Aziz al-Dabbagh straight away is mentioning sincerity. Why? Because if a person seeking a job, then this ain't for him, the guidance. If a person seeking wealth or something like that, then it's not for him, this guidance. This guidance, as mentioned by Sayyidina Abdul Aziz al-Dabbagh, is for a person who's seeking Allah's wajal. So a seeker should use this month to re-establish their relationship with Allah if it's broken or contaminated. And they mention that this is a very good month to reconnect and strengthen your relationship with Allah. Why? Because Allah selected this month, this certain month, for His beloved to go on Miraj. So why, then they mentioned, why can't you go on your own Miraj in this month? Why can't you travel your own journey? Why can't you travel your own Miraj in this journey, in this month? The speciality of this month is that a person can travel their own Miraj. Obviously not to the level of Rasulullah, but a person, our Miraj is, it could be going from a life of sin to a life of piety, stopping sinning, going towards goodness, or from heedlessness, going towards the presence of Allah Azza wa Jal, or from following other false ways of footballers and drug dealers and all other people that are actors that are fake, and traveling and following the sunnah, the proper way of life. That could be our miraj. But everyone should try to follow a certain miraj in this month. Whether it's, if you sinning, try to stop the sinning and try to limit it. That way you travel in your own miraj. If you are becoming heedless, try to get back, re-establish your journey with Allah Azza wa Jal, come closer to Him, to re-establish your journey and travel your miraj. If a person stopped following certain sunnah, start following him more and more and more. And because a miraj, what is it? What was the nectar? What was the juice of it? It was Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had such extreme closeness with Allah on the miraj. So our aim should be to try to reach as close as we can. Then they mentioned that we should use this month to reach an even closer and closer and closer and higher level and closeness to Allah Azza wa Jal. And just how Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam reached such closeness to Allah, like in no other month we've got the opportunity to reach a closeness to Allah Azza wa Jal like no other month as well. And they mention then to run towards Allah and weep in the presence of Allah and weep with regrets of time wasted and sins, and try to lift all of this weight of sins from yourself and understand that Allah is such a pure being, but still He's still willing to give and give you everything. So a person should want only Him in this month and thank Him for everything that He has given you in this month, and He will be He'll be ready there waiting to accept you if you travel it. And nothing is rejected in this month. because it's the month of Allah. And it's mentioned then that those people who are on the journey, on the path, Sayyidina Abdul Aziz Dabar then mentions that I will teach them a certain amal to pray in this month that a person should try to do. A person should try to pray 2 rakat nafil of tawbah in this month and seek forgiveness from your shortcomings and your sins, because you need to prepare for Ramadan now. If you don't start preparing for Ramadan now, when Ramadan comes, you're still going to be sinning. It's now we need to stop the sinning. In Sha'ban, start getting our timetables, get everything right, start praying a bit more, start getting everything right. Only then in Ramadan you're going to have a good Ramadan. Otherwise, what's going to happen is Shaitan's going to trick us again this year like he's tricked us 30 years, 40 years, 20 years before, and it's just the same Ramadan like we've had previously. So a person, Sayyidina Abdul Aziz Dabar mentioned that a person should pray 2 rakat nafil of tawbah and seek forgiveness for your shortcomings and sins. And the 2 rakat nafil tawbah you should try to pray it daily. And after the salah, there's certain amals that you should pray, which is 10 times Durood Sharif, 7 times the Rajab Istighfar. If anybody doesn't know it, inshallah come to me and I will get that to you. 10 times the 3rd kalima, and then 10 times Durood Sharif again. So what's that? 2 rakat nafil, 10 times Durood Sharif, 7 times the Rajab Istighfar, 10 times the 3rd kalima, and 10 times Durood Sharif again. If you do that, it'll probably take you 3 minutes, 4 minutes max. And then what should happen? What should you be thinking? Then they mentioned, even explain further what a person should be thinking whilst they're praying these azkars. They should be thinking that, imagining Allah's name and nur coming down them, and the heavy loads of the sins that is on them is being lifted, and all the sins are getting falling off them, and the light of the azkar that they're praying is taking them closer and closer and closer to Allah's presence, as if you're completing your own miraj, as if you're going at the speed of light towards Allah Azza wa Jal. And a person can benefit from this. So inshallah, maybe he can be in a position in Sha'ban, in Ramadan, where he's become more pure, so he can actually benefit. He can actually taste the fruits of his labor. He can taste the fruits of his ibadat, of his fast, of his tarawih, of his prayers. And then they mention to try to pray to 70,000 kalimah in this month, because the benefit of that is that a person who prays 70,000 kalimah in this month, he will be forgiven. And if he prays it for somebody else, then they will be forgiven as well. Such is the benefit of it. So inshallah, we should try to prepare for Ramadan in this month, and we should try our best in this month, because the more you try now, easier Ramadan will be, because you're trying to leave the sins now and trying to become closer to Allah now. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.
MashaAllah. Now, to benefit from this nasiyah that you heard, there is a course of self-purification known as Tareeqah Muhammadiyah, which bring in these qualities within your life gradually. To know more about this is free of charge. There's no cost to it at all. All it requires, as the Ustad mentioned, is your sincerity and your mujahidah. If you have these 2 ingredients, inshallah, wherever you are in your life in moment, when that death approaches, inshallah, you'll be successful. So to go through that, inshallah, Ustad will be sitting underneath the board over there on the right after the Zikr to explain that to you. Now, inshallah, we are going to have the Zikr Majlis. So I'd like to request the brothers, if they would like to stand up, to get some blood flowing into their legs and stretch. Now the lights are going to be turned off to help you concentrate. Now this is the moment where, if you feel that you have been derailed from the track in which you were going and heading towards, then this is the moment for you to do tawbah and call out to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Bring the 3 keys into your mind, that Allah is with me, Allah is watching me, and He is listening to me. So listen to your heart, listening to your mind, and what it is that you are saying. So inshallah, when you're ready and you feel you're comfortable, then you can sit down in your own time. And just come a bit forward as well, please. There's some more brothers who have come. Just come a little bit forward. Those who have just joined us later on as well, can you please make sure that your mobile phones are turned off? Those who are texting as well, inshallah, just focus. It's only another 20 minutes or half an hour, inshallah, and you will take so much away with you this evening that you will never imagine. Only when your eyes are closed you will know how beautiful these gatherings are.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. صدق. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق هو الحبيب الذي ترجى شفاعته هو الحبيب الذي ترجى شفاعته لكل حول من الأحوال مقتهم لكل هول من الأحوال مقتهم مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق محمد سيد الكونين والثقلين محمد سيد الكونين والثقلين والفريقين من غرب ومن عجم والفريقين من غرب ومن عجم مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كله على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم فاعلم أنه لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله إلا الله إلا الله إلا الله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله 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 لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله لا إله لا لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله 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 لا إله 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 إلا الله لا إلا الله لا إله 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 إلا الله 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 لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله لا إلا الله لا إله إلا الله 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 لا إلا الله إلا الله إلا الله إلا الله لا إله 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 لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله. سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا 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 الله. سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا الله. سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله. الله أكبر ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. قل ادعوا الله أو ادعوا الرحمن أيما تدعوا فله الأسماء الحسنى ولا تجهر بصوتك الله حسبي ربي جل الله ما في قلبي غير الله حسبي ربي جل الله ما في قلبي غير الله نور محمد صلى الله لا إله إلا الله 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 والآخر هي الله ظاهر وباطن هي الله والآخر هي الله ظاهر وباطن هي الله حافظ وناصر هي الله لا إله إلا الله 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 لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله إلا الله إلا الله إلا الله إلا الله 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 محمد رسول رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. وهو الغفور الودود ذو العرش المجيد. وهو الغفور الودود ذو العرش المجيد. وهو الغفور الودود 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 وهو الغفور الودود. لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إني كنت من الظالمين. لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إني كنت من الظالمين. لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إني كنت من الظالمين. إني كنت من الظالمين. لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إني كنت من الظالمين. لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إني كنت من الظالمين. رب اغفر وارحم وأنت خير الراحمين. 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 رب اغفر وارحم وأنت أنت خير الراحمين. أنت خير الراحمين. أنت خير الراحمين. أنت خير. رب اغفر وارحم وأنت خير الراحمين. رب اغفر وارحم وأنت خير أنت خير الرازقين أنت خير الرازقين أنت خير الرازقين أنت خير الرازقين ربي اغفر وارحم وأنت خير الراحمين ربي اغفر وارحم وأنت خير أنت خير الراحمين أستغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم وأتوب إليه توبة عبد ظالم لنفسه لا يملك لنفسه موتا ولا حياة ولا نشورا أستغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم وأتوب إليه أستغفر الله 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 الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم وأتوب إليه يا حسن سلام عليك يا حسين سلام عليك فاطمة سلام عليك يا علي سلام عليك يا حسن سلام عليك या हुसैन सलाम अलैका, फातिमा सलाम अलैकी, या अली हो मज़लूम करबला तुम, हो मज़लूम करबला तुम, कुश्ता इश्क़ो वफ़ा तुम, ज़ाहिर में हुसैन हो तुम, बातिन में हो मुस्तफ़ा तुम, या हसन सलाम अलैका, या हुसैन सलाम अलैका, फातिमा सलाम अलैकी, या अली सलाम अलैका। नूर का तेरा घराना, नूर का तेरा घराना, नूर का ना, लजपाल तेरा नाना, ये दबाग तेरा दीवाना, नजरे करम फरमाना, या हसन सलाम अलैका, या हुसैन सलाम अलैका, फातिमा सलाम अलैकी, या अली सलाम अलैका। अल्लाहुम्मा सल्ली अला सय्यदिना व मौलाना मुहम्मदिन व अला आलिहि व सहाबिहि व सल्लिम। अल्लाह सल्ली अला सय्यदिना व मौलाना मुहम्मदिन व अला आलिहि व सहाबिहि व सल्लिम। अल्लाहुम्मा सल्ली अला सय्यदिना व मौलाना मुहम्मदिन व अला अल्हम्दुलिल्लाहि रब्बिल आलमीन वस्सलातु वस्सलामु अला अशरफिल अंबिया वल मुरसलीन, या अव्वलल अव्वलीन, या आखिरल आखिरीन, या राहिमल मसाकीन, या ज़ल कुव्वतिल मतीन, या ज़ल जलाली वल इकराम, या रब्बी लकल हम्दु कमा यंबग़ी लिजलाली वजहिका व लिअज़ीम सुल्तानिक। सुब्हानल्लाहि व बिहम्दिही अदद ख़ल्क़िही व रिदा नफ्सिही व ज़ीनत अर्शिही व मिदाद कलिमातिही। अल्लाहुम्मा सल्लि व सल्लिम व बारिक अला मुहम्मदिनिल मुस्तफ़ा। या इलाहुल आलमीन, या अरहमर राहिमीन, या मालिक यौमिद्दीन, या हाकिमुल हाकिमीन, या अव्वलल अव्वलीन, या आखिरल आखिरीन, या राहिमल मसाकीन, या ज़ल कुव्वतिल मतीन, या ज़ल जलाली वल इकराम। तेरा शुक्र, तेरा करम, तेरा एहसान, तेरा फ़ज़ल कि तूने पैदा किया, एग्जिस्टेंस अता फरमाई और फिर सस्टेन किया। या इलाहुल आलमीन, तेरा करम, तेरा शुक्र, तेरी ज़ात का शुक्रिया, तेरी प्यारी सिफ़ात का शुक्रिया जिनको हम जानते हैं और जिनको नहीं जानते। या इलाहुल आलमीन, तेरा शुक्रिया नबी अलैहिस्सलातु वस्सलाम के लिए, आप सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम की प्यारी ज़ात के लिए, आपके नूर के लिए, आपकी रूह के लिए, आपकी हकीकत के लिए, आपकी प्यारी सिफ़ात के लिए। या अल्लाह, तेरा शुक्र है मशाइख़ तरीक़तुल मुहम्मदिया के लिए। या इलाहुल आलमीन, तेरा शुक्र है सैयदना अब्दुल अज़ीज़ तब्बाक के लिए। तेरा शुक्र है सैयदना अहमद दब्बाग के लिए तूने अपने हबीब हमें अता फरमाए। या इलाहुल आलमीन तेरा शुक्र है ईमान के लिए कि तूने ईमान अता फरमाया। या इलाहुल आलमीन तेरा शुक्र है रजब के लिए कि तूने अपना ये प्यारा महीना अता फरमाया। तेरा शुक्र है उस तरह कि जिस तरह तेरी शान के लायक है। तेरा शुक्र है उस तरह कि जैसे तेरी तारीफ़ के लायक है। तेरी सना है उस तरह जिस तरह के तेरे तू चाहता है और जिस तरह के तेरे इल्म में है। या इलाहुल आलमीन हम कासर हैं, हम आजिज़ हैं, हम नातवां हैं, हम कमज़ोर हैं तेरी तारीफ़ करने से, तेरा शुक्र अदा करने से। तेरा तूने ख़ुद ही फरमाया कि तेरा शुक्र ये है कि कोई बंदा ये कहे कि वो ख़ुद आजिज़ है तेरे शुक्र से। कोई मखलूक तेरे शान के मुताबिक तेरा शुक्र अदा नहीं कर सकती। तू ऐसा है कि तू ख़ुद अपनी तारीफ़ करे तो करे, तू ऐसा है कि तू ख़ुद अपनी शान बयान करे। या अल्लाह जैसी कि तेरी शान है अज़मतों वाली, जैसे कि तेरी ज़ात है रिफ़तों वाली, अपने फ़ضल और करम वाला मामला फरमा। हमारे सैयदी शेख अहमद दब्बाग को लंबी ज़िंदगी और सेहत वाली, तंदरुस्ती वाली, ईमान वाली ज़िंदगी अता फरमा। आपके मुतल्लक़ीन को, मुताब्बीन को, अहबाब को, ख़ानदान वालों को सेहत, तंदरुस्ती वाली, ईमान वाली लंबी ज़िंदगी अता फरमा। जिन्होंने आपके तरीक़े के ऊपर चलने की कोशिश की या कर रहे हैं या सिखाने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, उन उस्ताज़ा को, उन मुरीदीन को जज़ाए खैर अता फरमा, के ऊपर रहम फरमा। या इलाहुल आलमीन अपने फ़ضल और करम से हमारे दुश्मनों को भी हिदायत अता फरमा। हमारे साथ जो मुनाफिकीन जुड़े हुए हैं उनको ईमान अता फरमा। या इलाहुल आलमीन जो हमसे नाराज़ हैं उनसे हमारी नाराज़गी को ख़त्म फरमा। एक दूसरे के दिल में मोहब्बतें पैदा फरमा, रिश्तों को मज़बूत फरमा, सिला रहमी करने की तौफ़ीक़ अता फरमा, सिलतुर रहम करने की तौफ़ीक़ अता फरमा, हक़ूक़ुल इबादत करने की तौफ़ीक़ अता फरमा, मखलूक़ खुदा के ऊपर शफ़क़त और रहम वाला मामला करने की तौफ़ीक़ अता फरमा। या इलाहुल आलमीन जो इस मजलिस में आए हैं उन सब को अपने फ़ضल और करम से माला माल फरमा। या इलाहुल आलमीन आज की इस मजलिस का सवाब सैयदना नबी अलैहिस्सलाम की बारगाह में हदियतन, तोहफ़तन, अक़ीदतन, नज़रानतन पेश करते हैं, कबूल मंजूर फरमा। आप सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम के वसीला जलीला से सैयदना आदम अलैहिस्सलाम से लेके आज के दिन तक और फिर क़यामत के दिन तक जितने भी लोग आ चुके हैं, आए हैं, आएंगे, इस ज़िक्र को सुनेंगे, मौला करीम उनकी अरवाह को इसाले सवाब करते हैं, कबूल मंजूर फरमा। जो फ़रिश्ते हमारे ऊपर बरकतें, रहमतें और तेरी रहमत लेके आए मौला करीम, उनको हम सलाम पेश करते हैं, हमारा सलाम उन तक पहुँचा, तमाम अंबिया तक हमारा सलाम पहुँचा, तमाम अहले बैत अतहार तक हमारा सलाम पहुँचा। या इलाहुल आलमीन उनके दर्जात को बुलंद फरमा। या इलाहुल आलमीन उनको अपने ख़ज़ाइन में से ख़ज़ाने अता फरमा, उनकी मार्फत को बढ़ा, मौला करीम उनका फैज़ हमें नसीब फरमा। या इलाहुल आलमीन जो लोग यहाँ पे हाजतमंद आए हैं उनकी हाजतों को पूरा फरमा। कोई परेशान आया है तो उसकी परेशानी को दूर फरमा, कोई सुन रहा है तो उसके सुनने वाले की परेशानी को दूर फरमा, जो क़यामत के दिन तक सुनेंगे उनकी परेशानियों को दूर फरमा। कोई डिप्रेस है तो उसकी डिप्रेशन को दूर फरमा, कोई ऑपरेस है तो उसकी ऑपरेशन से निजात अता फरमा। या इलाहुल आलमीन या अरहमर राहिमीन, हम बदकार, स्याकार, गुनाहगार बंदे हैं, तेरी मखलूक के लिए हाथ उठाए बैठे हैं, मौला करीम अपने फ़ضल और करम से हमारी दुआएं अपनी मखलूक के हक़ में कबूल मंजूर फरमा। या इलाहुल आलमीन हमें तज़किया शुदा फरमा, हमारा तज़किया फरमा। या इलाहुल आलमीन हम गुनाहों में लिथड़े हुए हैं, हमारा तज़किया फरमा, हमें पाक फरमा। या अल्लाह वो दुआएं जो हम तुझसे ना मांग सके वो भी अता फरमा। या इलाहुल आलमीन बेरोज़गारों को रोज़गार अता फरमा, जो रिश्ता अज़दवाज में बनना चाहते हैं उनको अच्छे जोड़े नसीब फरमा, जो बन चुके हैं उनको नेक औलाद अता फरमा। या इलाहुल आलमीन हमारे वालिदैन अगर बीमार हैं तो उनको शिफा और सेहत वाली ज़िंदगी वाली लंबी उम्र अता फरमा। या इलाहुल आलमीन हमारे वालिदैन अगर उनमें से कोई फ़ौत हो चुके हैं तो मौला करीम उनके दर्जात को बुलंद फरमा, इस मजलिस का सवाब उनको तक पहुँचा। या अल्लाह या रहमान हमारे सैयदी गौस अहमद दब्बाग को सेहत और तंदरुस्ती वाली लंबी उम्र अता फरमा। आपका साया अता देर आखिर और क़यामत के दिन तक हमारे सरों पे कायम व दायम फरमा। या अल्लाह हम उनके सिवा कुछ भी नहीं हैं, हम उनके बिना कुछ भी नहीं, हम उनके कदमों की धूल हो जाएं, उनके रास्ते पे चले और उनकी ज़ात में फ़ना हो जाएं। मौला करीम ऐसा हुब, ऐसी मोहब्बत और ऐसी इताअत नसीब फरमा। या अल्लाह तू अपने फ़ضल और करम वाला मामला फरमा, तू गनी है, तू सखी है, तेरे ख़ज़ाने में किसी किस्म की कोई कमी नहीं, हमें मांगने का ढंग और सलीका भी नहीं आता। मौला करीम तो अपने पास से अता फरमा। सुबहान रब्बिका रब्बिल इज़्ज़ति अम्मा यसिफ़ून व सलामुन अलल मुरसलीन वल्हम्दुलिल्लाहि रब्बिल आलमीन। अल्लाहुम्मा सल्लि अला सय्यिदिना व मौलाना मुहम्मदिन नबिय्यिल उम्मी व अला आलिहि व अस्हाबिहि व बारिक वसल्लम।
The prophetic ascension.
Brothers and sisters, this has been a very tough year where we've not been able to travel, we've not even been able to go to our local restaurant to eat out, we're no longer even going to work, and we're bored out of our brains working from home. The world of the spiritual realm to travel to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His beloved messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam is open. I wanted to share with you that on the 26th of February till the 28th of February, we have planned for you a very special online spiritual retreat where we will show you how to travel to the kingdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and connect with Him and His beloved messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Join us online, register for this event. It's absolutely free of charge, and let us take you on this journey.